Hey folks, it's Rob and welcome back. We're continuing our series on the Monstrous Compendium Appendix as we read through. This one's for the Mystara setting from 1994, and we're on episode 17 today, which has brought us to page 49 of this book. And we have this handsome fellow, the giant, Athach. I'm going to say Athach. I think that's probably right. I mean, it could be Athach, I guess. Um, but I'm going to go with Athach because why not? Uh, Once again, I'm afraid just kind of washed out in appearance. The book illustration here in my hand is quite nice. This is that club is really more of a tree, right? It's got roots. It's got a few small branches left over towards the top there. He's got a treasure chest hanging on his hip there. There's a barrel also tied onto his, belt, we're going to call it. He's got some shields there on his belt as well. And he's got a third arm, you might notice, there in the middle of his chest. And he's got he's got that alien mouth. His pants seem to be lacking in the sense of, well, we're definitely wearing purple pants, which is fine. You got to have that Hulk aesthetic. But, and I just noticed he's actually wearing a couple rings. What is he wearing for rings? He's gigantic. He's a giant. Uh, but he's got like green leg warmers that make it seem like his pants are falling down. And you know, I don't know. Maybe that's what passes for high fashion in his culture, but his hair is also like, but when your face is like that, what do you care, right? Maybe you prefer the I stuck my finger in an outlet look. Anyhow, that's enough of my wild takes. Let's get into the stat block. So, climate/terrain, any hill or mountain. Okay. Frequency rare. They have a family organization. They are active during the day. They are omnivores. They are of low intelligence, 5 to 7. So not dumb, but not smart. Treasure type Q or I. They are chaotic evil. Number appearing will be 1d6. Their armor class is 0. Movement 18. Hit dice 14. To hit AC 07. They get 4 attacks. The damage per attack is, there are 3 2d6 plus 7 bash attacks. So you roll 2d6 and add 7 for each one of those. And then a 2d10 bite. Special attack is poison, which is unusual for a giant. No special defenses or magic resistance. They are 18 feet tall, huge. The size, literally the size of a 2-story house, right? They are champion, morale 15, worth 12,000 XP. The Athach is a hulking humanoid with a malformed body, most notable for the third arm growing from the center of its chest. Topping the Athach's roughly muscled body, its hideous head boasts irregular and outsized features, including bloodshot eyes and lopsided ears. One huge, one tiny. I suppose, yes, that is depicted in the picture here. Interesting. Each of the creatures has a set of huge, gnarled tusks protruding upward from its slobbering mouth. These giants almost never bathe, so they smell particularly foul. They dress haphazardly in rags and furs, often jamming bracelets on their fingers, necklaces around their wrists, and other jewelry wherever they can fit it. The beauty of these pieces glitters in gross contrast to the giants' ugly bodies. Athachs have their own crude dialect of the language most giants speak, and some few know common. These dim, ill-tempered creatures possess a penchant for collecting gems and jewelry. Despite their stupidity, they can inspire fear in even the staunchest warriors. Combat. Athachs attack by bashing their opponents with thick tree stumps or larger stones clutched in each of their 3 warty hands, and by biting with poisonous attacks. with their poisonous tusks. An Athach's weapon inflicts 2d6 plus 7 points of damage, including strength bonus, on a successful hit. Any opponent an Athach bites must make a saving throw versus poison with a -4 penalty due to the terrible strength of venomous saliva, or remain helpless for 1d6 turns. So, a functional paralysis poison. These beasts have no notion of strategy or tactics and always attack opponents head-on in battle. Occasionally, when hunting for meat, including humans, Athachs refrain from killing their paralyzed victim at once. Instead, they tie up their captives and carry them to their lairs to kill later. Transporting the victims this way keeps the meat fresh, the way the giants prefer it. Indeed. You've read this in The Hobbit. What can I say? Athachs avoid other giant creatures. They receive a penalty of -4 of their morale when facing creatures of huge size or larger. So, if they're facing another giant, they don't like it. They're like, stereotypical bully behavior, not necessarily actual bully behavior. Interesting to say that those would be bracelets on the finger rings there in the picture. Habitat/society. Athachs make their homes in simple caves in the mountains or deep woods. They live in small family groupings, normally consisting of 1 adult male, 1 or 2 adult females, and 2 to 4 juveniles. When not hunting, most Athachs spend their time fighting with each other. Almost every aspect of their vicious lives centers around eating and violence. Athachs give little thought to anything but the most primitive survival goals. Shortly after a young Athach reaches maturity, its parents throw it out of their home to wander around till it finds a mate. Often the young Athach must fight others of its kind as well as its potential mate before starting a new family group. Other than food and violence, Athach seem passionately fond of gems and jewelry. These objects of remarkable beauty are often found amongst the matted furs and rags thrown about an Athach's cave, or even wrapped around its body. Athachs have been known to spend hours polishing and staring at such beautiful items, so strange in their otherwise ugly lives. Ecology. Athachs hate most giants, including their fellow Athachs. However, they avoid contact with all giant creatures save their own kind, mostly from cowardice. The monsters have no fear of humans and demi-humans, though, and actually view such beings as delicacies. Athachs have been observed sitting in the middle of mountain passes and lonely woodland paths, waiting for a party of humans it can attack. On occasion, a group of travelers can persuade an Athach not to attack if it offers it enough jewelry or gems. However, an Athach does not keep its word very well, and often merely waits a few minutes before charging off to attack the travelers anyway. Some caravan leaders speculate that the only time an Athach doesn't go against its word is when its new gems and jewelry simply fascinate the beast so much it forgets to break its bargain. I can see that. Big, sparkly gem, and it's just like, ooh, pretty. And it stares into it. It's gone, right? Doesn't respond to anything. And then by the time it comes out of its little fugue, it's like, you're long gone. Fair enough. So that could be a barrier, right, in a campaign. Everyone knows that this dumb giant is there in, Athach Pass, right? But you need to get past it. And so there is, if you give it a big enough of a shiny, you can maybe get past it because it'll forget. And so you could be questing for, a significant sized gem or something, just so you can move ahead with the main overall plot of getting over through the pass, because you don't have the ability to defeat the giant in the pass. But the giant isn't a community problem beyond the fact that it's blocking the pass. It's occasionally a danger to someone who doesn't know about it there, but everybody knows it's there. Nobody goes over there, and nobody gives it the opportunity to snack on it. Instead, it has to eat on wildlife. But What what it does get occasionally is a big fancy gem by someone who needs to get through the pass, right? Just an idea. Let's go on to page 50. The other kind of giant in this book, the Hephaeston giant. Now, Hephaestus is a deity in mythology, if you might recall. Some of those who might have a wider education or more classical type. We have our picture here again. It's slightly darker in my hand, definitely. Interesting to see, a very humanoid giant with hair plates, and it's got a, fairly ornate looking sword. It's actually more ornate in the picture here. It loses some of that as it's kind of washed out in the scan here. It has, I would say, it kind of comes off as like leather armor, but it's blue, right? And maybe the top is more cloth and the lower half is more like leather plates. I don't know. It's got the Greek sandals. It's kind of, I think it's cool. I think that's really neat. Um, let's get into it. So, the climate slash terrain is any mountain or cavern. Okay. Frequency is very rare. They are solitary. They are active at night. They are omnivores. They have high intelligence, 13 to 14. Treasure type W or F. Alignment is neutral, interestingly. There only one appears, what with being solitary. Armor class -2. Movement 12. Hit dice 25. To hit AC 03. Number of attacks 2. And that damage per attack is 4d10 plus 12 for an axe, 3d10 for a fist. That's one heck of a hit. Special attacks are spells and throw. Special defenses, see below. No magic resistance. They are huge, 18 to 25 feet tall. So, the previous giant is 18 feet tall. This one is at minimum that tall and actually probably larger. To the point of being nearly a basketball player on top of that, right? Now, a full 7 feet. They are fearless in morale at 19 and have an XP value of 28,000 should you be, defeating one of these. Hephaestons spend their time and energy forging weapons in the highest mountains or deepest caverns of Mystara. These solitary giants have resilient, dark skins of flexible iron. Males often sport very bushy beards. Both sexes are well-muscled, particularly in the upper body, and dress in comfortable garments that will not interfere with their beloved work at the forges. The giants each carry a huge iron weapon, usually a sword or axe, at all times. Interesting that we've chosen female and a sword, especially when a stat block describes an axe. I have no issue at all with these choices, but it is interesting that we decided to go in a different direction. Still, I think in part it's contrasting the other giants that you may have seen elsewhere, things like fire giants, frost giants, that kind of thing, because they've all been depicted pretty much male, and it's nice to have the female depiction here as an attractive, massive giant. You insert your fetish here, I guess. Let's get off of that path. That's not my business. Although, I'm not new to Rule 31 being on the internet. All right, combat. Although Hephaestons usually do not seek out combat, they prove particularly impressive and dangerous foes. Due to their incredibly dense iron skin, these giants can be hit only by weapons with +2 or greater enchantment. They are also immune to all forms of fire and remain unaffected by first and second level spells, as well as any magic or spells afflicting the mind, such as charm, hold, or any illusion. And obviously, they're way past any sleep spell that you might be considering. In battle, a Hephaeston attacks with its huge iron weapon once per round. A hit causes 40, 10 plus 12 points of damage, including strength bonus. In addition, the creature either can attack with a fist or use one of its special abilities. See below. If the fist hits with an attack roll of 18 to 20, the Hephaeston has grabbed its opponent, causing its normal 3d10 points of damage, and then at the end of the round it may throw the hapless victim to the ground for an additional 5d6 points of damage, halved by a successful saving throw versus death. So basically it grabs you and spikes you into the ground. Lovely. Hephaestons also may choose to use one of their special abilities. It can levitate iron or steel objects, such as second level levitate spell that allows 40 feet per round with no need to concentrate in a range of up to 120 feet. It can instantly heat one iron or steel object up to 70 pounds within 100 feet to red hot for 1d4 plus 1 rounds. Contact with such an object inflicts 2d6 points of damage per round, though a successful saving throw versus spell halves the damage. Wonder what could possibly be made of iron that the party might have. Or steel, to be fair. Now, probably not made of iron, their armor and other equipment, but almost certainly steel, fantasy steel, setting steel. And maybe it's made out of like magic silver or adamantine or mithril, in which case it wouldn't be heated in the same way. And that's fine, right? But if they happen to have like a steel buckler, yeah, it could be heated up to be super hot. Finally, create a wall of iron once per day per 5th level wall of iron spell that lasts only 3 turns. So just a massive iron wall can be thrown up that lasts a half hour. Because why not? Habitat/society. Hephaestons spend much of their time alone forging weapons, each seeking to perfect the art of the weaponsmith. These giants sometimes spend months, even years, crafting and recrafting a single weapon until it reaches their exacting standards. Regardless of whether Hephaeston makes its home atop of high mountain peak or in a deep cavern, its isolated lair always contains a forge. Puffs of smoke from the giant's forge or ringing sounds of the creature at work are often the only clues of its residency. Hephaeston's diet consists primarily of game animals such as deer and boar and various plants. They also must consume at least 50 pounds of iron a month to maintain their strangely formed bodies. Once or twice over the course of Hephaeston's long life, 500 plus years, a male of the species may successfully create an item of surpassing workmanship and beauty. The giant then goes in search of a female of its kind. And possibly vice versa, When they find each other, the two giants go through an elaborate courtship ritual in which the male presents the creation to the female, who, if pleased with the item, forges a gift for the male in return. The two may stay together for up to a year, during which time they fashion a child from the purest of iron, each adding several drops of liquid iron from their own skin to instill life into their child. The new Hephaeston stays with the one parent long enough to learn the arts of the forge, and then heads off on its own. Ecology. Hephaestons shun other intelligent beings and do not look fondly on intruders. It sometimes proves possible, however, to convince a Hephaeston to create human-sized weapons of steel and iron. The creatures remain always on the lookout for large quantities of iron ore and might be persuaded to trade information or weapons for such ore. Hephaestons also collect metals, including coins, and weapons of all type. They particularly like weapons of especially fine construction. Weapons created by Hephaestons are particularly durable, plus 2 bonus to saving throws, sharp, plus 2 bonus to damage, and beautifully worked. They command 3 to 5 times the market value of normal weapons of their type, which sounds impressive, but really not. the text, like, if the weapon was worth 20 gold pieces, oh my, it's worth 100, right? The durable is very nice. The sharp is very nice. It's not actually a magic weapon, which may be a consideration. Maybe you want to get this for purposes of enchanting into some perfecter weapon that's actually magic, right? Um, High value construction weapons are definitely the basis of magic items. I can see a various plot hooks here, and this is quite nice. I think it's a good addition to an environment, something to kind of have out there in a wilderness or at the bottom of a deep, deep cavern network, but probably not the main feature of a campaign, right? Uh, you know, that's been very good. I've enjoyed reading out to you today, and I hope you've enjoyed listening. I'm going to stop here today because I know the next section on golems is quite large. So we're probably going to want to break that up evenly, and I don't want the golems being in this video. So you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.